Oh, this is Mary Shields with Pathways to Healing and Wisdom. My friend Naomi and I were talking last week, and she said that she was feeling in the middle in so many areas of her life. So, for instance, she said that she would like to move house, but she knows that it's not quite time to get the house ready to sell. And then she said something to me really interesting. She said, I feel like I'm in the middle in just about every single area of my life. I'm wondering if you feel that way too. I know that I have been feeling that way, and so many of my clients and students and friends and family, we are in a threshold time, in a time where it's not quite time to move forward or a time to move back. If this is your experience, then listen on, because I'm going to talk about the gifts of this time, why it's so important, and what you can do to navigate it. Anthropologists call this time a liminal time, Liminal. If you're listening on YouTube, I will put the description in the description below. It is a threshold time. So when you're on a threshold, you're in a doorway, really. So you aren't really inside or outside of the room or the space. You're right in that middle space. And that is really what I'm hearing so many people talk about being. That's really the nature of the energy right now. You actually might be feeling like it's time to move, or you have an inner urgency to start something new. But if you really stop and listen, you may, your internal knowing may be telling you that no, now is not the time to act. It isn't quite time. Or you might be trying to get something off the ground, and you're not quite able to get there. Naomi said to me, I'm doing a lot better with this than I have in the past. She said, I'm flowing with it instead of pushing against it. I keep having that internal nudging to push, but I know that it's not only not necessary, but won't help. I said, wow. That is really fantastic. I've been feeling the exact same thing. Like, I'm in this middle space in so many areas of my life. But my old patterns are kicking in, and my old patterns is I'll just push through, I'll power through, and I'll get through. And it hasn't been working. So I love this idea of you're going with the flow. Then the very next day, one of my teachers said to me, you've been pushing against all these things and it's not working for you. So what might you do differently? And together we explored the metaphor of a river. And what I realized is that I've been in a river and the current's been really strong, but I've been trying to swim upstream. And when you try to swim upstream and the current's really strong, you don't get anywhere. And so that pushing has not been working for me. Or I've been saying, oh, well, I don't want to be in this river. Let's go over to that river over there. And I've been trying again to go across the current to get out of this river so I can go to the next one. And neither one has been working very well. Not only that, but I've been getting exhausted and frustrated. And my teacher said, well, what if you simply flowed with the river? What if you let the river bring you to where you're going? That idea of flowing has been a kind of foreign concept to me. I was always taught, you push through, you act, you make things happen. And when I didn't, if I was in a place where I couldn't push through or act or make things happen, I would just beat myself up for not doing it. And that's really not what's needed in these times. We are in this threshold time, in this liminal space. Another metaphor for it is being in the birth canal. You can't go back and you can't push yourself forward. You really can only just be. But here's the thing. When you're in that liminal space, when you're in that threshold time, it's actually a very powerful time. It's one of the most powerful times that can be, because it's preparing you to be in the next space. And ancient cultures knew this. And in fact, they had rites and traditions to help people move through these times, these liminal spaces, these threshold spaces. You might have heard of one of the most important ones in any person's life, and one of the most important ones that have sort of been publicized in ancient traditions. Some call it a rite of passage. And it's the movement from childhood to adulthood. often there would be rituals of leaving behind, perhaps cutting the hair or putting away the child's clothing or painting the face, something that would separate the person from their childhood and their childlike ways. And often they were then sent on a vision quest where they were supposed to get a vision or some sort of sign or symbol, or they were simply sent out to the wilderness to survive for a day or two or three, with very little except, maybe a knife or something, that they would just have to survive using their own skills. And so they would go out and they would either get their vision or their symbol or survive and come back to the community. And when they came back, they were changed. They were no longer the person they were before, and there was a new confidence and a sense that they could do it. And this was a very dangerous time because, what if they met a mountain lion or a bear? Or something like that. In the wilderness, there were all kinds of things that could happen. But that special time, that in-between time, is also the time that prepares you to let go of the past. It prepares you to step into the new and to step in as a new person. So when you get your vision or you survive the night or the 3 days, you come back into the community as a different person. In ancient communities, you'd be welcomed back with feasting and with celebration. You might be given a whole new set of adult clothes, and you might be given certain things that would represent your being an adult instead of a child. And from that time forward, you would be treated as an adult in the community. As I said, we are in that kind of time right now. We are in this liminal space. We're in this threshold time. And I hear it all over. I hear it from friends, from acquaintances, from colleagues, from clients, from students, that so much of what's going on right now, you're in the middle and you aren't either here nor there. So I want to talk about this because it can be a dangerous time. It's a time where you really are in between. You're neither where you were, nor are you where you're going. But it's also a really sacred time. It's a time to put aside the old patterns. In my case, it was time to put aside that old pushing pattern that isn't working for me and really hasn't worked for me very well. The pushing through, the trying to accomplish, and then beating up on myself when I didn't do it. So instead, if I'm flowing in the river, I'm being in the space, in the between time. And that's my encouragement to you as well, to be here, to be in that space, to ask for guidance, and it's a time for listening, it's a time for discerning rather than acting. But more than that, this in-between time is the time when the deepest healing and transformation can happen. It's a time with, instead of pushing, if we get curious and we ask, if we go on an internal quest and we ask for healing and guidance, and if we wait rather than acting, if we stay in that threshold space and go with the flow and don't try to be anywhere else, then you will be transformed. You'll be ready to take action and you'll be ready to create and move into something new when the time is right. But if you try to do it in that threshold space, chances are it's not going to work very well, and it's counterproductive, because this is the time when you're being transformed so that you can step into what's new for you as well. My sources say that the energy for moving forward and for creating the new is going to happen later this year, sort of in the May, June, early July time, and that many of us will be really ready to step into that new space and into your new and then creativity will blossom. All the things that are in your head and some of those things you feel urgent maybe to move forward in are going to start happening then. So what do you do in the meantime? How do you navigate this sort of time? How do you be in this liminal space? Well, first, stop the push. It's not going to get you out anyway. Step into the river and let the energy carry you. Take this time to heal and to ask for guidance and to listen. This is really a time to focus on your own healing, and there's a lot of energy available for that too right now. It's an energy for working through the past, for working through old dramas and traumas, so that you're actually ready to act and to move and to leave those things in the past so that you can move forward into what's coming for you when the time is ripe. This is a time to follow the energy, to go with the flow, and to wait. If you give yourself time and space to do that deep internal healing, to allow the transformation to occur, to ask for guidance, and to wait, then you will transform and you will come out of this time prepared for the very real shifts and changes that are happening individually and for us collectively the world over. And the new era that we're stepping into is one of interconnection and flow. It's a time of unity and collaboration. So rather than fighting or pushing, you'll be moving in alignment with the universe. And when that happens, there's a really lovely joy, there's a peace and a calmness that can happen even in these in-between times. This new paradigm that we're moving into doesn't require that old warlike mentality that looks at everything as a challenge or a fight or a conflict. Instead, it looks at, as I was talking about, collaboration. It's going to mean a different, more peaceful way of being in the world that will help you accomplish what you want to do without all that striving and all that pushing and all that efforting. It will help you serve and serve even more fully. And it will help you stay centered and will help you accomplish without striving whatever you're called to do next. Let's jump in the river together. Let's flow. I have a couple things that I can offer you now that might be helpful for you. One of my absolute passions is to help healers and service professionals clear out all those old dramas and traumas that are getting in your way and keeping you from really stepping in. And this is really a wonderful time to be doing this work. So if you're interested in that, my website is maryshieldphd.com. If you're watching on YouTube, I will put that in the description box below, and also a link to book a free discovery call with me so that we can discern together what might work best for you. The other thing I wanted to offer is that this has been a very, very powerful time. Last week, the week of March 21st through the 25th, was one of the most powerful weeks astrologically that we've had in years, and it is really a jumping off point for the next 21 plus years. So there are several huge shifts that are taking us very fully into the Aquarian age, and we are right on the threshold. We are in this between time. And so what I did is I offered a healing session, and I did an attunement or a series of attunements to this time and to this energy to help align you to it. So you, instead of pushing, you could move through with ease. I also did some healing work around helping people let go whatever they need to let go of. Because this was such an important time, I've been given the guidance to make this available as you can purchase it as a recording. I will set it up so that you receive the attunement and healing session. So if you're interested in that, there will be a link below for for more information and to purchase that. And then finally, I talked a lot about this time that's to come in May or June, and my next attunement and healing session is going to be on May 14th, as some of that very strong, expansive growth, creative energy is going to come in and shift everything for us. The link to register is active. If you would like some more information, please sign up for my newsletter, and I will be sending some more information out on that. And finally, I want to talk a little bit more about some other very practical things you can do but one of them is to get grounded. If you sign up for my newsletter, I have a free grounding meditation that you can sign up for, and you can listen to many times, even several times a day. It's a very short meditation that will help you get grounded and centered, even in the middle of these in-between times that can be so challenging. And there are other healing, grounding things that you can do as well. Go out and hug a tree. Put your bare feet in the grass or the sand or the or water. And in the meantime, do stay as grounded as you can, and let yourself be. If you don't resist this time, if you really understand that this is really not only um, a turbulent time, but it's a time of great sacredness and a time where you can really heal and transform so that you're really ready to step into that new space when the energy is available. There can be a lot of joy and a lot of peace. And I wish that for you. So let's jump in the river and let's let the current carry us in this time, in a time of peace and joy, even in the midst of this river. Thank you so much.